Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be going over my workflow for adding stubble to a character. And if you see my other XGen tutorials, it's pretty much the same workflow. I'm working from this base mesh here, and I have my beard plate already set up. And it looks like there's a little bit of clipping here, so I'm just going to fix that. So I'm going to turn my body to a live surface and then turn on quad draw with my beard plate selected. So I recently updated these meshes, and I wasn't happy totally with the plates, and I wanted more resolution on the beard plate because it was causing a little bit of clipping. And I think the best practice is trying to match the underlying topology as best you can when you're making the plates. And that way it'll move fluidly if you do end up like animating the face. And you don't have to worry about like um, doing any additional sculpting. Trying to, if the chin, for example, is usually a problem area, and this will be like stuck inside and clipping through, and you won't have as much hair showing through because the underlying geometry is overshadowing it. So this looks like it is all caught up. Oops. Let me turn this all the way up and just make sure we're good. All right. So I've got my beard plate in the right place. Let me turn this live surface off. So for this, I'm actually not going to be using guides because the stubble is so short. You can use guides, and it might be nice to have them there if you're going to build off of the stubble for a longer groom for the beard or mustache or something. But for this purpose, it's just to add a little bit of realism. Just a subtle shading around, like having a 5 o'clock shadow. So let's go into interactive groom spline create, and I'm going to call this one beard. And hit create. So this is a little long for stubble. Click tube shade. Go down to Arnold, change this to from ribbon to thick. And then for this, we're going to just be changing the scale. So probably down to like maybe 0.2 should be good. And then because the beard is a little bit thicker and coarser type hair, we're going to turn this up to like 5. Should be good. And give it a little bit of a taper. And then what we're going to do, the main selling point is just adding in a noise. And then under noise, obviously that's a little crazy for beard. You want to turn this magnitude down to like maybe 0.3. And then preserve length all the way up. Alright, now what we need to do is paint a density mask, because right now it's a little bit awkward the way the beard ends. It's a straight cutoff line, and if you look at reference, it's usually a gradual lightening of the hair, like a thinning. From where it's thickest, probably like around the chin and cheek, and then as it goes higher, closer to the cheekbone, it fades off a little bit. And then there's also this section that you paint out here along like the nasolabial fold that comes down where usually very little hair grows. And then there's two other sections here on either side of the lower lip, right here and right here, where usually very little hair grows. So we're gonna paint that out now. Let me hide this mesh, and then select my beard plate, and then I'm gonna go under density mask and click bake, or not bake, create. And I'm gonna call this beard density mask. Save it as a JPEG. 24/8 should be good. Make sure you have UVs on your plate. And I'm just going to save this in my hair density map folder. Create. Awesome. Now we should be ready to paint on. And another thing to note is make sure that you have a Lambert or a Blinn or something as the default material on your plates. If it's an AI standard, it won't allow you to paint on it for some reason. So I'm going to go all the way down to black. Very nearly close to black. And I'm going to take a softer brush and just... let me undo that real quick. I'm going to say save texture on stroke, and then I'm also going to do reflection, just to save a little bit of time, because this is symmetrical. And so you give yourself a little bit extra room with the plate, just because everyone's beards are a little bit different. If you're going to be building off of this, you want to give yourself that leeway. Some people's beards go up really high and touch, their cheekbone. Other people's beards are, they terminate a little bit lower, down closer to where like the teeth level. So. Let's go here too. Whoops. I don't know why I did that. And if it's going a little slow, you can always turn the hair off. If you hide your hair, it'll paint a little bit easier. Alright, now I'm going to take a little bit lighter color, and this will just help fade off the edges of the beard. Not sure why it's bugging out. Probably because I have reflection on. Let me go all the way up to white and paint this back out. You click that little eyedropper and select the same value you were working with before. And I'm just holding down shift and I'm blending it out. What happened over here? Wow, this is just bugging out today. Let's just do this. shift and blend some more. Because you don't want this to be a harsh transition as well. You want it to be, you know, a gradient of the hair flowing in and out of different levels of thin or thick. Let's actually do this too. And then, oops. And then blend this. So let's see what that looks like now. I'll turn this off and turn the guy back on. It's looking all right. Let me get this darker material so we can see a little bit better how it's looking. Well, I think this is good. But probably have to refine that density mask a little bit more because I think a little too much hair is showing through here and here. But otherwise I think it's a good transition. Maybe a little bit more needs to be shown here. So let me turn this off, turn the beard plate back on, and we'll go back into painting our map. And blend this back out. That should be good. Let's go all the way back down to black. I'm just kind of building up layers here and then fading them out. Sometimes there's just like a little soul patch right here where no hair actually grows here. Sometimes there is, and it leads into the chin. But I'm just gonna blend this. And then I'm going to come through with white. Just paint this out. And then just fade it back in. And then you just got to keep checking with your beard. Let's see. If you're painting and no follicles are disappearing, go to a fuller brush. Sometimes it's difficult to see the fall off with these brushes. Let me do a little bit of a transition at the top of the mustache and at the bottom of the mustache. I think the corners of the mouth could probably lose a little bit more too. Alright, let's take a look one more time. I think that's probably where I'll cut it off for now, because you can keep fiddling with this for hours and hours if you really want. But I think as far as like getting a good base for the beard, yeah, so I think some of this needs to go. Usually the mustache doesn't creep all the way up into the corners of the nose, or at least not as much as this. This area is looking pretty good, and depending on your reference and who you're sculpting, this area might be more filled in and this area might be more filled in. But I'm just, like I said before, this is just a general overview of how I would set up the beard. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. I'm going to call it a day. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have any questions about anything I went over, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, thanks for watching, guys.